Hey, welcome to Old Ass Movie Reviews. I'm Scott with my buddy Dave, and boy, do we have a treat for you tonight. Just a real quick shout out to Dalton, aka Dolphin, at work, for telling me about this movie when I asked, "Hey, Dalton, what's the worst thing you ever seen?" And he comes up with, what is it? Damn it! What the hell's the name of this movie?
Justice, Farce Wars.
See, I can't even remember the damn name. Avengers of Justice, the Farce Wars. Well, Dalton, not as bad as you thought.
No, it does not crown.
It doesn't take the crown from the Star Wars Holiday Special.
No,
the first one, the one from the 70s. The Lego one is brilliant.
Lego one is, yeah. The Lego one is the one they should have released at the motion pictures instead of the farce that they did release.
And that's a whole nother podcast. You can go back and look at last year's when we totally went through all of that.
Yeah.
There's a whole Star Wars block, all 9 movies. So even Jar Jar. But so I want to say something about this movie before we even get to the cast and everything. This was a low budget movie. Fine. Not a big deal.
Right.
But my biggest issue with this film was that I felt they tried too hard to make a parody. They tried for the scary movie, the airplane,
right.
the
right.
anything that the Mel Brooks, and guess what? They missed hard. I'm just saying.
You know what? There was a couple of times that I chuckled. I see, and like
you, dude, I laughed through this.
I see where they were going. I see what they were trying to do, and I think it was, what's the word I am looking for? It was bravely done, and that's what I look for when somebody's making a movie. They
were committed.
If you go back to our early ones, you would just rip everything and just have a good laugh, but when I see something like this and I see what they were trying to do, and for whatever reason they didn't hit the mark, I think some of it is, I think they needed another pass or two at the script. I think the jokes, but when I say that, I mean the jokes themselves, the punchlines, the moments of humor, I think needed to be refined a little bit more.
Some of the moments,
they had some good ones. They had some good points in there.
Some of them are really brilliant jokes, and I was like, "Oh, that was smart. That worked."
Yeah, there were some that I actually chuckled. I was like, okay, I get it."
We'll get to it, but
ahead,
when Superbat is talking about how his mom died, I was in fucking tears. I lost it. That was brilliant.
That was hysterical, and the daughter's looking at him like that.
That was a moment.
Fault.
That was a moment out of Airplane or a Mel Brooks movie. It's like you hit the humor right there. And I know that's what they were going for.
And that's what they were trying to do through the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the jokes were forced. I don't think when you're in the middle of something, when you're writing something at the moment, and you're the guy or the woman writing it,
it makes sense to you.
It makes total sense because you've got the background in your head.
Mm-hmm.
You see where that joke is coming from.
Right.
The real big talent, and I know I have a problem with this at times, probably more so than not, but is getting other people to see that humor, to twist that joke around and say, I want you to see all the sides of this, and that's why it's funny, without explaining the joke.
That's why comedy is so hard.
Yeah.
Comedy is much harder than anything else.
When I've read scripts of Red Dwarf, I have read scripts and that doesn't seem very funny. When I'm reading it, it's not that funny. A lot of it is in the direction of that joke, the actor's ability to pull that joke out.
There's so much timing involved.
And it's the script itself, and trusting the script, trusting your actors, and trusting the director, and everybody merging. If you've ever watched any British sitcoms, a lot of sitcoms are like that. There's like humor that when you read it, you're like, it's kind of humorous, but I don't see it. But when you see the actors do it, they add a nuance. And I think that's maybe what was missing. I don't know. I don't want to blame the director. I don't want to blame the actors. I don't want to blame the script altogether. I see what they were trying to do. And I applaud the hell out of it. It's just they missed it.
They missed it.
And I don't know why. I don't know where everything.
I have thoughts on that, and I'm going to go into it.
Okay,
So before we get to that, let's talk about this movie. I'd already mentioned that it's like Scary Movie or Mel Brooks or an airplane or something that failed, and it is. So they've decided to take Marvel, DC, Star Wars, and mash them all together, and just by making up names. And you have Yoda or Yoga instead of Yoda, and the Farce instead of the Force, and it's like
Bruce Kent.
So we've got Bruce Wayne and Clark Kent together as Super Bat. Gene Wonder. I love that. Now, here's something that I noticed when they were doing all of this. It was obvious to me the writers know their comics.
Oh yeah,
because Beaverine, their version of Wolverine, really had it in for Gene. It's like, oh, you fuckers read X-Men. You get it. Or they watched the cartoon. I don't know. I've never really watched much of the animated series, but I know it gets a lot of love. The X-Men one.
Yeah, the animated series. The old one was the one in the 90s was fantastic.
Yeah, I read the X-Men in the 90s, and that's where I latched to. I think it was brilliant at that point. Yeah. But that's I could tell. It's like, okay, we got some fans here. And the Beaverine thing, Beaverine actually I thought was pretty fucking funny.
Yeah.
I thought that was with his adamantium teeth.
His teeth come out. That's fun. That was pretty funny. And he's in the short shorts.
Yeah, he's in the cut off.
Yeah, there's a lot that works in this, but there was like there was almost like working against itself. I don't know how to explain it.
And that's where I get to what I think could have fixed this movie. And I shouldn't say fix, because like you, I could easily shit all over this, and I'm not going to, because I really believe they tried. I really believe they were going for something, and there's something here that I actually like. I'll go on record and say I like this movie, but it's hard to find that spot. You pull off the layers of forced jokes and everything. Underneath all of this is a very touching story of a dad who has lost touch with his kids and is trying to find a way to bring the family back together. It's heartfelt. It would work perfectly to me if they cut out all the references to other comics, made original heroes, and done the show.
And I think I texted you last night when I was watching it, or maybe the night before. There's a guy, and I can't think of his name right off bat. He did a movie called The Lost Skeleton of Cadaver. And I'm going to look that up right now, so I want to get this director's name. But because those are original characters, what he did was he made a movie that referenced old bad sci-fi from the late 50s, early 60s.
Yeah.
And
to me, that's one of the things that would have worked, because you're not distracted by it. Yeah, it's cute, but if you're going to do something like that, such a direct parody, such a goofy one, I think it works better as a 5 to 10 minute short film. It's like, okay, that was cute. I like that. To do a whole hour and 40 minutes of the Bruce Kent shit. Now, it does start off really funny. Super Bat is a mixture of Superman and Batman.
Right.
He's losing his powers. He's getting old and fat. He looks like Seth Rogen. That's who I kept thinking.
That's who I thought he was at first. The guy who was playing. I was like, wait, is that Seth Rogen?
It wasn't, but he at the beginning he is all out of fucks. He's in a convenience store that's being robbed. There's some kids outside fucking around his muscle car.
Yeah, it was a GTO, I think.
He loses his shit. He doesn't care about the guy robbing. He just goes, the kid's got a soccer ball playing with it, and he throws it so hard it takes off like on fire. Let me get to that. Some of these effects work really well. Some of them not so much. But I give them props because they pulled off a very ambitious movie with some pretty low end effects and some great job doing some of it. Some of it worked really freaking well.
The spaceship that the
dark jokester,
dark jokester was on, which actually,
what was the tongue thing with him? What was the tongue thing?
That annoyed me. I'm sorry.
That drove me crazy, dude.
He's a Joker character, and he's supposed to be like a Dark Jedi character, but he does this thing with his tongue. He's always moving it like really.
It's this weird Darth Vader / Jared Leto Joker mix, but he's doing that tongue thing.
And that was driving me nuts. Like, if he would have not done the tongue thing,
it'd have been all right.
I
He
think
was
it would have
stupid,
worked.
but it's
He
okay.
could have had a different little thing. I don't know. That's an acting choice. I'm not going to attack it too much.
No, I didn't like it. Didn't work for me.
But like you said, the Gerald Leto thing, had they just called him Jokester, or I don't know, maybe another name, I wouldn't have been bothered by it. But like you said, they were trying to reference so much stuff at the same time.
Yeah.
But his look was kind of cool.
Yeah, his look was cool.
He had the big dark circles under his white makeup face, and it was kind of a cool look.
I think when it comes to humor, and I've done a lot of comedy and I've written comedy, and one of the things that I always go to that I find it works is to take a situation and exaggerate it to an extreme proportion, and it just seems to always fucking work, because you see the little bit of truth there and it's like, oh my god, that's outlandish, but it makes it funny, and they miss some of that,
it's the old Carol Burnett show for all you kids that are out there that are under 50, or maybe not 50. Go on YouTube, go find Pluto, watch the Carol Burnett show.
I think there's a whole channel on Pluto.
When they hit the humor, just watch it. Nothing's dirty in the Carol Burnett show. They may have some tongue-in-cheek moments.
Oh, there are a lot of innuendo.
But they go so far over the top, like Scott said, that it's just hysterical. There's Tim Conway and
Harvey Korman.
Not Roger Corman.
Harvey Korman.
When they team up, when they tag team, and they're in the scene together, when they're doing a skit together, I literally will start crying, laughing, because these two guys are so funny and their writers were so good.
Yeah.
That they will just take it, and that's where I could read that script and laugh. But knowing who's going to be in that script, they take it to the next level, man. They shoot that thing out of the park.
Yeah,
and that's where I come in real quick. Go
ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's where I come into the Lost Skeleton of Cadaver Island. The director is Larry Blameyer, and he's also the writer. And they've done some other movies, but the point that I'm trying to make with doing that comparison is, if he were to take 5 old movies and do the names and try and reference all these old movies specifically, I think it would have killed his movies. They wouldn't have been funny. What he did is he took a whole bunch of movies that he had probably seen and went, what do these all have in common? Bad monster effects, bad makeup, really bad acting, and just go down the line. And I think that's what he based it on. And I know there's a story where he's talking about in the movie, there's puppeteers. They're bringing up the skeleton. And the skeleton, when they first initially did it, the skeleton actually looked good. I mean, it looked like it was coming up off the ground. And it looked like, these puppeteers knew their shit. They were making this thing look really good. And he's like, I don't see the strings. And all the cameramen were like, yeah, you're not supposed to see the strings. He goes, yeah, and I don't want it to move like that. And they're like, what do you mean? See, that's a prime example of having it in your head, but not telling everybody what you had in your head. So they had to put thicker strings on the skeleton.
So it'd show up.
They just waggled him up and down instead of making him look like he was moving. Like, they just kind of marionetted him. And then they had the actor wrestling with him. And that was the joke. It was so bad. You've seen that if you watch old bad movies.
Yes, you have.
You've seen that. And you know what the joke is.
All of that worked for you, is what you're saying. Since I haven't seen that movie, that exaggeration, that silliness.
Yeah, the silliness worked. And I think that's what they were trying to do in Avengers of Justice.
Yeah.
But I think they were, and I don't want to speak for the writers, but I think maybe what happened is they got so bogged down in, like you said, the referencing.
I think that, they were trying really hard to make a reference.
Yeah, they forgot the joke. They were trying harder to make the reference than to make the joke.
And as you've already stated, just because it sounds funny doesn't mean it's going to be funny.
Yeah. And just because it doesn't sound funny doesn't mean it's not going to be funny.
Exactly.
There was something missing in this movie, and I don't know what. And I know I'm yelling, and I don't mean to yell, but I got excited. There was something that that there was something missing. There was a piece missing. I don't know what happened. I don't know if maybe the director left or maybe the writer left, and when they were in the middle of shooting, maybe they were just out of time and they just had to really rush everything. I don't know. The idea is really good. I like
Actually,
the
it
idea.
is.
Like you said, the scary movie stuff. I like those ideas. I like the humor that comes out of that. I I I wanted to like the movie a lot more. It does have its good moments. It does have funny moments, like you said.
It
The
has some really
dad,
funny moments.
the mother's ashes just kept getting knocked
Dude,
over.
that was so funny. That was a Monty Python moment because it reminded me of an interview with the crew of Monty Python after I forget who it was had died, and they brought him on the set,
the ashes, and they dropped them.
and they drop it, and then they get a vacuum and everything. It's the funniest fucking thing. And it's like, you know what? It wouldn't surprise me if that really was his ashes, and they said, "Fuck it, back to it," because that's what they would have done.
Send it to the.
He won't mind.
He doesn't care. He's dead. What does he care? But yeah, I get it. The yoga instructor was supposed to be like Yoda, but it was
Shawn Michaels.
The wrestler, Shawn Michaels.
I think their budget went to him. So
probably.
Yeah. He was fine.
He was okay.
Yeah.
I think again they needed to work on that. Some of the jokes that he was doing, the
Yeah.
uncomfortableness that they were trying to get with him and Superbat when he's getting real close to him and in his face. They missed it because the camera was still further away.
Yeah.
And I feel like if they'd have zoomed in, if they'd have come in on him and then really had the face, really close, and zoomed in, that would have been really uncomfortable. But I think it was like what do they call it? A set shot when you're.
Yeah. That was one of the things on here, and we're dealing with a virtually unknown cast and probably crew. And this is some early stuff for a budding cinematographer who did some great shots in here. Yeah. But there is a lot of static shots. There's a lot of shots on sticks. This movie is a comedy, but it's also an action film. Could have really benefited by a lot more movement. And that this is little things that I like this movie, but it's not a good movie, folks. But you got to really, at least I applaud these fuckers for doing this. I saw where they were going. Yeah. I saw what they were trying for. I think they tried way too hard. And if they'd have just said, let's make a parody, but let's just do it based on some things.
Right.
I know they sat down and said, okay, this is the next page of the script. We need a joke here. We need a joke in this scene. We need a joke here. And part of the jokes just had to do with the names of the characters or people like Lisp Luthor. There's only one part I like with Lisp, and this is going to sound weird, but I thought the drone shot on top of the building with Lisp dancing was fucking brilliant.
You were going to say that, and
I loved every second. I was like, yes.
I hated that shot. But what makes that shot, I'm going to say this. I'm speaking for you.
You knew I was going for it.
What I think makes this shot for you is it's the standard joke for a superhero or supervillain doing something evil, dancing around, and there's always the long shot, the drone shot. And
it was good, man.
I knew you were going to like that shot. And yet I was sitting there watching it going, there was so much that didn't work up to that point that when he did that, I was just like, that could have been a great scene. That should have been.
I thought it was. And you're right. It could have led to it better because it's very out of place. And it's like, this belongs in a different movie. This belongs in the movie y'all should have made.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's what got me. Is like,
that's what I'm saying. There's bits.
If you would have been doing this through the whole thing, there are some very funny moments. But I'm thinking no budget and rush time.
Yeah, they had good enough sets for it, and we like to shit on something. I had a low budget. Well, doesn't mean nothing, And I just want people to know, just because we say it's low budget doesn't mean it's bad.
What I'm saying when I say it was low budget. I mean they did.
You'll notice it with the effects.
Allows you time. No
it allows
budget
you reshoots.
Or very very low budget. Allows you very, very little time or no time. It's a one shot. We're going to get this and let's go on.
And we got what we got and we move on. You get what you get and don't pitch a fit.
Very much old Hollywood style filmmaking when they needed to make 5, 10, 15 movies in a week
You
to
know,
get him out to the kids in the theater.
On an interesting side note, I hear Clint Eastwood, and we'll never know because unfortunately he won't make it long enough for me to ever work with him. But
you don't know.
I understand he does that with his actors and on his movies is one and done. Go do it. And he makes some great shit. So his style does work. So,
but I also think he rehearses.
Like and if they do that, that's a big, I guarantee there were no rehearsals on this movie. And there was honestly not a lot of need, but there needed to be a better.
And like I said, I don't want to
worked well with what they had.
Parade, because I think these guys, I think the majority of the people in this movie that I've seen are either doing stuff now or they are gonna be. This is gonna be their movie that when somebody asks them about, they're gonna go, "Oh, yeah." But I don't think they ever need to do that. The Amy Smart, I think was her name.
Yeah, she's been in some things.
Shawn Michaels. Yeah, I know I've seen her before. I went through the list earlier. Shawn Michaels, ex-wrestler, he could probably have another career.
He's probably done a lot of things.
This guy looks, the guy who played Superbat, Steven Ranazasi.
Yeah, he looks very different.
He looks familiar too.
But he also looks a lot like Seth Rogen, especially when he has a beard.
Yeah,
he's a stand-up comedian. And I will say this, he was able to deliver quite a bit. He did it really well, actually.
Yeah.
I don't think he was so yeah, it looks like he's done a lot of stuff, dude. And that's the
character actor, background actor, probably, I'm guessing. I'm taking a wild guess.
Yeah, a lot of movies and TV series, and so he's doing things. He's doing things. That's
cool.
That's good.
I love to hear that. And if any of you actors see this, I'm not trying to poo on your career because God knows, God bless you, because you're making a career, you're doing it. I just think it could have been better, and I don't know what to tell you how it could have been better, other than maybe
don't try so hard.
Yeah, it's the not try so hard, but it was also
I know that's pretty
parody
vague
of the movie. If they would have made, like you said, a superhero movie without all the referencing of other superhero movies,
they had a great story. I want to tell you something. Yeah, I want to say something to our audience. Dave and I watched a movie a while back called Supergirl. Helen Slater.
Right.
It's a very cheesy script.
At the time.
Big budget, cheesy script. It works. They played it seriously. It's really not a good script, but it worked. And that's what I think they could have done here. It's like they had the story there. Yes. Okay. Lisp, Luther. I think this is where dark jokes, these names killed me, man. And the fact that they were trying to be something they weren't. I would have rather, I don't know, just make a different hero, make an old fat hero. And we've seen stuff like that. What's the movie with Nicolas Cage? Oh, Kick-Ass. With Nicolas Cage and Chloe Grace Moretz. It's a cool fucking movie. But you're taking heroes that nobody knows about and just does a story. The story's there, and that's what I want to say about this movie. The story's there, the bones are there. All these jokes could have worked better in a small 10 to 15 minute short, whereas to give us a whole solid movie, I think would have been better served to not try so hard for the jokes and to just go with what they had.
And where the only thing I disagree with you on is I think you could have done what was this, 80, 88, 85, 88 minutes, something like that?
It's like an hour and 40 minutes.
About an hour and a half or so, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's well over 80 minutes.
Yeah. But anyway, about an hour and a half or more. I think it could have worked, but without all the references to comics. You could have had one or two in there. It would have been fun.
You needed something. I mean,
you could have referenced a superhero here or a superhero there or a supervillain, but not. I mean, I just feel like they like you said, they were trying too hard. I think had they just sat down, and in their third or fourth strike across the script went, okay, like you said, here are the bones. Let's get rid of all this other stuff that we don't need, and he's just going to be this old retired superhero.
Yeah. And you could have based him on Batman.
He's not in touch with his kids, and he's not in touch with his wife. He's caused all the problems in his head. That was the interesting character arc of this guy. he caused all the problems with his family in his own head.
Mm-hmm.
The family didn't have a freaking problem. Family was off doing family shit. They were wanting to have a good time, and he was just causing problems because
he was in his head, man. And what's interesting is we talk about that, and I've mentioned this a million times on the show, and I'm going to mention again. The show Superman and Lois treats this type of topic as just a middle class family trying to raise kids and the problems that they have, and with Clark being so busy saving the world and everything, he's been neglecting his boys. And of course they rebel and things like that. And he's having to deal with it. And it's like, that is, to me, is very entertaining TV. You don't always have to be flying around busting heads. You see, what does somebody who is basically a god can't even get their shit together to take care of their kids. So it's neat to see that.
A guy who can fly through the center of the sun to clean his uniform that he's wearing has kids that aren't paying attention to him.
I think that's why Superman and Lois work so well. And this show reminded me of that. By the time we got to the end, I saw the bones, I saw the skeleton to this movie, and it's like, there it is. This is beautiful. It's heartfelt. I applaud y'all. Thank you for that. But I really
there were
I was wanting it to be worse. It was better than I expected.
I was really expecting to just be ripping on this. And the worst thing that I can say about it is it could have been better. It should have been better.
It should have been better.
And I say that with all due respect to anybody that's listening out there that is attached to this movie. I'm not even trying to be mean about it. I looked at it and I was like, you were so close.
Yeah.
That's how I felt about it. It's like, you guys were so close, and you seemed like you all had heart, everybody that was in it. So you can't complain. So no budget, low budget. I've liked no budget, low budget movies. Yeah. Any Ed Wood movie I will watch, no matter how terrible it is. I love Ed Wood movies. I just do.
I have been in close to 20 no budget, low budget productions. Some work, some don't. It's just one of those.
Better than others, right?
Yeah, and it's just, this is how we learn as actors and filmmakers, and you got to just go do it. So if anybody was part of this cast or crew, and you actually are listening to us, hi, and reach out to me, please. Would love to have you on the show to talk about this.
That'd be cool. Because I'd like to know what other actor, because I know how you talk about some of the stuff you've been in.
Yeah,
I'd like
it's
to
just
see other people's reaction, to lower budget, no budget, just in general. What does it take to get in there and dig those elbows in?
Yeah. So, folks, I appreciate you coming along for this interesting ride today in the Avengers of Justice, the Farce Wars. When I say short movie, I instantly go to Hardware Wars, which was a Star Wars parody. It worked. Spaceballs, complete Star Wars parody, worked. Mel Brooks knew when to hold back and when to just go with it, man. And having the right actors. Not everybody can do comedy. It's all in the timing, the delivery. You have to be a funny person to do comedy. If you're not funny, well, it's going to be very obvious. You're not going to be funny acting either. You can't, just reading the line doesn't work. There's so much involved. Yeah, it could be written well, but if you can't deliver that, it ain't happening.
That's why Leslie Nielsen was such a good actor.
He was so good.
He played serious for so long that when they finally asked him, hey, how would you like to... I'm sure he looked at them and went, are you crazy? Do you know what I do?
But he was so brilliant.
But he was so good at it. It literally built a second career for him when most actors are retiring and just going off into the sunset.
Well, it was not only him. It was George Conrad as well, who was always so serious. Everybody in there, and
every one of those.
O.J. Simpson.
Every one of those actors.
Every one of these people were serious. And you see that. It's like, this is so funny because you don't expect that from those faces. Those faces. So
the whole line is, I've got to take her to the hospital. The hospital, what is it? It's a big building with patients, but that's not important right now.
Don't
if you
call
just
me
read that, you might have to read that 3 or 4 times before you're like, what? And then you get it, and you can deliver the line as soon as you understand the joke.
Not a week goes by that I don't drop that line somewhere. Oh, it's a such and such, but that's not important right now.
Yeah,
a lot. Or don't call me Shirley.
The other day, I had a customer say something to me the other day. Surely you're kidding about that. And I looked at him and I went, no, I'm not kidding. And don't call me Shirley. And the guy just stopped. He stopped for a second. And I seen it in his face like, oh, you got me. Like,
good.
Like, you got me. Okay.
Oh, the customers I run across would have drool running down the side of their face. Yeah, I can't count.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh, I thought you were a girl.
Golly. Anyway, so folks, thanks for joining us in 2023 as we're rolling through some comedy films. Yeah.
Is this the first one?
This is
other than our New Year's?
Is it the first one of our New Year's? I don't recall.
I don't know.
Dude, I don't remember. Track, we're out of whack again. So I don't know. I don't know.
Sorry.
What did we watch last week? We didn't.
I don't know.
I think it was our year in review. I don't know. I'm so confused.
Year in review was last week.
Yeah. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe. Come back and see us. Listen to us on podcast, Twitter, Facebook, wherever. Also, if you want to talk about the strange and the unknown, go check out Neverworld Podcast at neverworldpodcast.com or search for us on YouTube or Facebook. And we have a new show that we're launching where we talk about even weirder shit. So, and it's family friendly.
We try not to swear on that one.
We don't. I get really tired of editing out every shit and fuck. But anyway.
You got to do it, brother. You got to do it. With me, I'm just silent for 5 minutes. And then I'm like, and?
Yep. Pretty much. I'm going to put chicken noises in next time.
Oh, that's hysterical. Every time I use the F word, just
That's it. Going forward. Anyway, thanks again, folks, and we will catch you next week.